Hi, friends. Welcome back to the Wholehearted Journey. My name is Meredith Hudson, and I am so happy that you're here. I'm so happy I got my matcha. She's on ice. She's actually in a mason jar because I like my matcha big. Okay, I don't want I don't want no 12-ounce container for my matcha. How disgraceful. How dare you? No, one thing I like to do is I like to act like I'm not drinking a ton of caffeine, okay? By not getting like regular coffee. But I balance out this, or let me how do I put this? I put probably like 3 matchas in one container. Does that make sense? So although I'm drinking matcha and it has less caffeine in it, the amount that I drink in one setting is probably like 3 matchas, which would probably equal a latte. So it's like I'm not doing any better. I might as well probably just drink a latte. But I will say, I have posted this on my Instagram just randomly, and some of y'all agreed. And there's some fun facts of matcha on my Instagram. So seriously, there's a video on there. Go look for the matcha container thing. You'll see it on my page, and in the description it has like all these matcha facts. But there's stuff in this matcha, bro, that makes you smart. And it's like you become your best self when you drink it. It is very obvious when I wake up and I don't drink my matcha. It's a rough day. Like I don't like who I am. Okay. I mean, for real, y'all. I'm not freaking joking, bro. I'm not joking. I literally don't know who I am. And like, I'm halfway in between, like as of right now in this moment on who I like to be. And yet I still feel a little delayed because look, I'm at the halfway mark. So that means I only have half of the superpower right now of matcha. I should have really thought about that. I should probably drink that. Hold on. I kind of think I'm addicted to y'all. Like, do it. I can't speak now. You see what I'm seeing? You see what I'm saying, bro? I can't speak. Hold on. Just pinned real quick. Okay, hold on. Mentally, I feel sharper. Physically, I feel snatcher. I mean, I don't know what is in this stuff, bro. But anyways, I'm happy that y'all are here. And on a real note, I asked y'all literally 17 hours ago, what episode did y'all want to hear? And y'all know that I film in real time. That's the best thing about me. Every single episode that y'all see on here is so thrown together, so just unhinged, unprepared, unprofessional. And it's just like, I wouldn't change it any other way. Like, I literally wouldn't have it any other way. That's probably the right verbiage. But I gave y'all 4 options. The very first option was how you really grow in confidence and self-love. So essentially an episode that's discussing like, how do you actually grow? Which I'm so excited to actually do that one, but we're not doing that one today. The second one is the connection between your gut and your brain. Woo, that's a good one. The third one, which is shocking, I really thought that y'all were actually going to select this one, but it was the least selected one, and it says signs that something might be off in your body, which I don't know. Maybe I didn't word it right and people were confused by that verbiage, but I feel like that is such an important one. And the fourth one is my biggest weight loss mistake ever. Guess which one won? Well, I guess y'all are going to know because you've seen the title to this dang episode. It's the last one. My biggest weight loss mistakes ever. That's crazy. Like, I just never would have known. I like almost even put that one on there because I'm like, no one's going to care. But y'all knew that this episode was going to be fire before I knew this episode was going to be fire. Because the things that I started brainstorming as I was collectively like figuring out what we were going to talk about in this episode, or like my top 4, because technically this is my biggest weight loss journey mistake I've ever made. Well, there's really not one, to be honest. Like, I could probably pick one, but I feel like I would be doing a disservice to you guys by withholding, like, all the information out that I feel like played massive roles in my overall success for my weight loss journey, and the things that genuinely not just held me back from seeing success, but held me back from seeing success for 2 decades. So how exciting. Let's start with the first one. Some of y'all might highly disagree with me on this, but this was probably one of the biggest ones for me. And that was doing my journey with somebody. Now, hear me out. I have to lose, or I had to lose 120 pounds. Like I had to lose a lot of weight. Okay. Which means that I needed to spend some serious time on my health journey. I also had a very, very unhealthy relationship with food. I had zero knowledge of nutrition or weight training. And all around, my journey was so emotional. It was emotional. I have childhood like roots in this journey. Does that make sense? Like, so this is something that is not just like, let me clean up my diet or like improve it a little bit in this area or start moving my body more. This was, bro, I am like putting myself on factory reset. Oh gosh, I'm so sorry. It's a lot of emotions there. Wow. I really did not think that would make me emotional, but yeah. It was a lot of changing. And so let me have some matcha on that one. My goodness. I think a lot of times, I think a lot of people can relate to me in that sense where it's like, oh man, this isn't just a small change. This is like a change. It's like, is this possible? Because I feel like I need to like redo my just everything of, who I am and my lifestyle and what I do for fun and what I spend my free time doing, sometimes even who I hang out with. It was a lot. Okay. But what I'm trying to get at here is that it was way, 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 way too much for me to do that and do it with somebody. I had to do it on my own because I was such a dependent person. I depended on people all the time. And you want to know something that hurt the most was that I was so dependent on people. But the one thing I knew I couldn't depend on someone for when it comes to this journey is helping me change. And that's what really was so gut wrenching when it got to a place of thinking like, man, I have to do this journey. But it was just like, no one can help me. No one can help me. And that terrified me. Like I used to be the girl that would cry, freak out. I'm talking about freak out, y'all, freak. If I was by myself, if my husband wasn't home or I couldn't hang out with a friend or I couldn't, go to my parents' house. If I was like forced to be alone, I usually would find a way not to be alone. I would freak out. And so I'm a very, very different person. And so what I realized was when that moment hit me on the couch to start my journey, I knew then that I had to do this and I had to do it on my own. And I was finally making a decision for myself to no longer depend on someone to do this because I knew it wasn't possible. And when I was going through my journey actively, like going through it, I was so thankful for that. And it played a big role, like that mental like click on knowing that I was having to do it on my own. I will say this though. The people who I have seen kick some butt with doing it together are couples who have younger children. It's like a mom and a dad with younger kids. They kick butt together. And you want to know why? Because they're too damn busy to go do anything. And so they're raising kids, they're working, they're grinding, like they're also trying to save money. And so the couples that I have coached, because I've coached a lot of couples together, like in my program, they just kick butt. And it's because like it ends up being financially a smarter decision for them. They end up having a smoother, consistent routine. You got kids who have like sleep schedules and nap times. And so everything is organized. They're from the moment that they wake up to the moment they go to bed, for the most part, they have some gist, some idea. It's not obviously perfection. We all know kids have their own schedule sometimes and things are not that smooth, right? Nobody's life is that smooth unless you just got it like that. But I mean, I know I don't even have a family yet. And I already know it's not going to be smooth like that. Okay. But just in general, they just tend to have less temptation and less desire to kind of go do a whole lot. This is almost like their decision to equally say, let's become the healthiest versions of ourselves and let's make this happen for the family. Let's make this happen for us and our connection with each other, to have that strong desire to do something together. I think builds such a strong bond and really puts a fire, within each other. But then also it's something that's like we're doing it for the people that we love the most, our children. So anywho, when it comes to the second thing, because I know that was a little long-winded, and I know this is going to sound crazy, but I need you to stay with it. And not crazy, but maybe basic, but I need you to stay here with me because I'm going to explain why. The second thing is never tracking macros. That is 110%, I think, one of it is maybe the biggest mistake I ever made in my past was never tracking macros. Simply because the idea of tracking macros sounded like a little insane. I never personally heard of it before my weight loss journey. I mean, I don't even know. I heard of tracking calories, but I don't really even know what that meant. I never did any of that. I just basically always try to eat the smallest meal I could possibly eat ever. And eat very, very restrictive where I only had chicken, broccoli, and lettuce wraps. That was pretty much all I would eat when I was on a diet and stuff like that back in the day. My mom would make me all my weight loss foods. Anyway. So I never tracked calories and macros on my own, but even if it was just calories, that wouldn't have been enough. It's macros that changed my life. That macros was the biggest reason for my overall success, for sure. Macros not only gave me the ability to basically feed my body exactly what it needs, because that's what macros are, the perfect balance of what protein is, your carbs, and your fats. And all three of these play a essential role in how you feel every single day. There's a lot to it. Like your fat intake helps with hormones. It also helps with your brain function. Your carbs help with blood sugar regulation, which is a whole nother topic, but blood sugar regulation also plays a big role in your cycle and also plays a big role in your energy, as you know. And then protein, as y'all know, is phenomenal for your hair, your skin, your nails. It also is crucial for muscle mass. It also helps you burn a lot of calories as you're digesting food. So you have more calorie burn from eating higher protein. So there's a lot of benefits to macros outside of that. But what I love the most is that I can use macros to my superpower. I was able to balance out after I mastered the act of macros, because it's a little bit of a learning curve at first. But once you master it, you know how to really listen to your body. Like if I kept having these afternoon dips, I knew how to adjust basically what I ate in the afternoon for lunch or for snack or something I would incorporate basically to my advantage, to where I had a certain percentage of carbs or fats and proteins in it to make me feel really good. If I was struggling with, of course I struggled with binge eating for a very long time, many years. Once I mastered the act of macros and started actually also tracking my fiber intake too, all these things came full circle for me. And overall, I was able to utilize my nutrition, hit certain targets that make me feel full and satisfied, and to not have these intense cravings, which is crazy helpful. You're basically working smarter, not harder, essentially. Another big thing is that it gave me more flexibility in my nutrition. Like I said, I was able to have more if I needed to go to Chick-fil-A and just get me a good old Chick-fil-A, Chick-fil-A got their, you can track calories, macros from Chick-fil-A. So if even I was on the go and I forgot my meal at home, like I did all the time, I would leave my lunch at the house on accident. I'm like, no, I hated that when I forget that. But I know I'm not the only one. I would be able to basically sit there and still get a meal and stay within my calories and macros and find a way to make it work and so forth, but still having a healthier balance of what I really truly need. Now, another thing is that macros taught me everything that I knew or needed to know for then about nutrition, but also for after. It helped me so much with understanding when I'm looking at a plate, what's on my plate? What is it that I'm actually eating? You don't really learn that. You don't really know what's in something if you don't track your calories and macros. And that's when you start getting into this danger zone of good and bad food. Does that make sense? You start looking at things as, oh, I can't eat that. Oh, I can't eat that. Oh, I can't eat that. Instead of being no, I can eat everything. It's just about having a very smart approach to how you implement it and how you eat it throughout the day, or within your week, or within your month, whatever. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if any of this is clicking, but tracking macros played the biggest role in a lot of different things, which I'm actually going to cover in this next one. Number 3 is not reverse dieting. Whoo, actually, gosh, it's so hard because macros and this one go hand in hand, but I wouldn't be 120 pounds down if I didn't reverse diet. I know that much. Reverse dieting is basically what it means is slowly increasing calories over a course of your journey. So if you start off at 1,700 calories, over a course of time, you go to 18, 19, 2,000, and like you're increasing your calories as you go on. Now, this, of course, goes down. It comes down to the person. It comes down to what you're implementing. It comes down to your approach. It comes down to the way that you're losing weight, meaning that if you're losing a ton of muscle, this isn't going to apply to you. You're not going to be able to reverse diet. It's going to look very different. The only time I guess technically you would reverse diet if you're losing a lot of muscle is, I don't know. I mean, really, I don't know. That's why a lot of people, and this is what that irks me, are coaches. Oh, it makes me want to cringe. I'm so glad I coach like major weight losses because I don't know where my girls would be if they joined programs like this. But weight loss coaches that are literally like, the smaller you get, the less calories you eat mindset. I'm just like, bro, because you know what that means? You know what that means? The people that they're coaching, let's just say they coached me. I'm 256 pounds at my starting weight. And they're coaching me. They start me off at, let's just say, 1,800 calories. You know, as I'm dropping weight, they probably have me under eating. They probably have me eating way too low calories, and they probably have my activity level pretty high up there. For someone that maybe is just starting and everything, okay? So that's a double duo. You're going to feel like crap. I'm going to have headaches. I'm going to have wonky sleep. I'm probably not going to feel I'm probably going to have a lot of joint pain. Probably going to be very sore, very uncomfortable. I don't want to talk about it. Godly, I've done that too many times in my life. But so essentially you lose muscle, and because you lose muscle, your body naturally isn't burning as many calories a day. So for your coach to continue to help you see results is for you to technically eat less and less and less and less, even though a lot of the weight loss that you're seeing on the scale is, yes, going to be body fat, but a lot of it's going to be muscle mass. So anytime that you're on that cycle of every time I lose, I have to decrease my calories. Essentially what you're doing is I want you to look at your weight loss and probably just assume that a fourth to maybe half of the weight loss, it depends on the situation, how much weight you're losing, but a fourth to half of the weight loss that you see actually on the scale is probably muscle mass, and the other amount is probably going to be body fat. That's why on average, per 100 pounds, or on average, people lose about 20 to 30% of muscle mass. So if you lost 100 pounds, 20 to 30 pounds of that could have been muscle mass. And then the rest would be body fat. That's freaking crazy. That is a lot of muscle mass. I mean, I don't know if you've ever got a scan before, but I have like 79 pounds of muscle mass on my body, something like that. If I would have lost 20 to 30 pounds of muscle mass, bro, like, what's the math on that? Okay, let's just make it easy. 80 pounds of muscle mass. If I lost 20, I'd be 60. So between 50 to 60 pounds of muscle mass on my body versus the almost 80, or technically 80 pounds of muscle mass that I have on my body now. Bruh. How drastically different would I look? Very different. I can tell you right now, I would not be rocking it. I would not be rocking it. I'd be very, very, very different. I would not, I don't know. And that wasn't the type of transformation I wanted. I didn't want to just lose weight. I wanted this to be something that genuinely made me look healthier and gave me a better quality of life. And losing a lot of muscle mass like that isn't actually helping the quality of life that you have either. You're going to feel weak, and it's going to interfere with your bones and lead to a whole nother list of issues. And so what I'm saying here is if you are on a weight loss journey and you're losing weight and you have to continue to decrease every time that you're losing weight and you hit this plateau, it means that you are shooting for the wrong goal. What you want to do is reverse up, and that is a very, what's the word? It's a very particular way to do it for it to be successful, which is why having a coach that specializes in body recomposition and has the focus of reverse dieting is very important. So anywho, not everyone does this. So just a rule of thumb, I just want y'all to be aware of that, be very cautious of that. Okay. That's just Now, it's not me, whatever, advertising for myself. I'm just being genuinely for real. This could be a make it or break it for your journey. Now, what was another thing I wanted to say about this? This, of course, also leads, like I said, to plateaus. So people who genuinely are like, man, I keep hitting plateaus and I can't break past this threshold and I can't see results, but you are consistent. I'm talking about freaking consistent. More than likely it's because you are falling into this where you're not reverse dieting. You're not changing your calories. You're not increasing them. You're probably decreasing them. And so you're only left with eating less or doing more. And that is not a place that you want to be. It's more about eating more and being able to actually enjoy the activity level. Like not making yourself feel like I have to add more cardio. I have to add an extra day of it's not about that. You shouldn't have to change your workout split. You should be able to keep your workout split as is and be able to increase your calories and keep doing your thing. And that's just how it goes. But I also want you to remember, again, reverse dieting is a very complicated situation. And it requires extreme consistency. And again, per client is different. So it's just everyone does it. That's how I coach clients, is doing that. But anywho, the very fourth thing, the last one, and this is going to tie into my only personal experience, but it's not going to technically be weight loss coaching. But this is something that I don't know. I kind of want to kick myself a little bit when I talk about it. But the fourth one is not having help, like in a sense of like getting a coach. Now, I was hesitant about putting this on here simply because the rules were very different, or the circumstances were very different when I was, growing up. Maybe I'm wrong, but I do not know of any programs, as I was growing up, or as I was like, I don't know, even when I started my weight loss journey, of people who were doing the type of weight loss coaching, the way that I do weight loss coaching, and the way that I went about my journey. Does that make sense? Like, I don't know. You didn't see women talking about weight training, and you didn't see women talking about macros and eating high carb and high protein. You didn't see women talking about reverse dieting. I'm really uncomfortable with like males. That's not really me anymore because, I'm a fitness coach and, I have coached a ton of like guys, but also I'm friends with a lot of like male fitness coaches. But I personally wouldn't have felt comfortable with a male fitness coach because I don't think I would have been able to be as real as I probably needed to be with the things I was struggling with and things that was going on with me. But I wonder, I wouldn't change a thing. Like I said, I'm glad I didn't have a coach. I'm so glad I went about my journey. It led me here. But I do wonder what it would have been like if I had the options that are, given now, where there's so many weight loss coaches, so many people who preach the same things that I do, and there's the knowledge and the experience levels that are out there now, and the coach options you get now are so vastly different. It's life-changing, absolutely life-changing. And it makes me so happy because the little girl in me, and even just like the young adult version of me, is jealous. I don't know. It would have been nice to have it. But the reason why I wanted to put this on here is because although this is very different, the only thing I can really truly compare it to is my acne journey. I spent technically 2 years with acne. I had like hormonal and gut related acne there for 1 year. When I healed my gut and I healed my, and I balanced out my hormones, my skin was completely clear. But then I got threading done and it was a whole disaster. They used a dirty thread, destroyed my skin. I thought hormonal acne was bad. Times that by 50. Bro. And that was my skin when it came to the threading situation. So I tried to do it myself. I was like, I know how to take care of myself. I was thinking everything could have been just connected to like internally. So if I continue to do all these healthy things and I'm very, very clean with all the products I use, like no fragrance in anything, all clean ingredients in all of my hand soaps, my laundry detergent, if I have a brand new pillowcase every single night, if I keep my hair in a bonnet at night, if I wear gloves so that way like my hands aren't touching my skin and it's like a, freshly washed clean gloves on my face. I don't know. I literally did all these things and I did it for a year and my skin was horrific. Going through that, it was really difficult because I'm like, I'm doing all this work and I'm not seeing anything. What am I doing wrong? Well, I'm not a skin expert. I know what I need to do for my nutrition and my workouts. I'm an expert in health and fitness, but I am not an expert when it comes to skin. I literally know nothing about the way that skin holds bacteria and anything that just goes along. I don't know anything about skin. Okay. Let's just put that. And so this entire time I'm doing all the things that I'm good at and with zero knowledge of having, real, knowledge around and wisdom around skin. I finally, after all this torture was like, I'm just going to get an acne coach, bro. I'm just going to get an acne coach. Screw it. I'm just going to invest in this. I'm just going to make it happen. And it was an investment. For sure. The monthly fee isn't bad, but you're buying all the products and you have to be like on it. Worth it. Every cent of it. I'm still paying for it. I technically don't need it because I'm just like, it's been so life-changing. I'm like, I don't care. I will make this a priority and I will stay with this and I will have this coaching. I will have her as my acne coach for as long as I need because literally life-changing. Something that I battled with for, like I said, a long time, severely cleared up in 2 months. When I finally went to someone that was an expert, that knew what they were doing, that put me exactly on the plan that I needed, and I just implemented it. And my willingness and my want to do something was never the issue. It was simply just like not implementing and doing the right things, not focusing on the right things. And so that's the best thing that I can compare, like having a coach. And it could be anything. It could be having a coach. It could be having a nutritionist. It could be having a functional, like going and getting your testing done and having a functional medicine doctor. It's the main concept here is like seeking help in the things that you need help in. I think the same thing goes with therapy. Like if you're struggling deeply with your mental health and you're battling it, like going into therapy and being able to talk about your childhood trauma and the things that you've endured and the things that you've been battling with and can't talk out loud with people in your life. Like it could be anything outside just coaching. But I think that in this aspect, if I didn't successfully lose 120 pounds, what would have been a mistake that I made then? And it's not seeking real expert help from people that know what the heck they're doing. This isn't just seeking anybody's help who is the, person that is in your hometown or whatever. Like, I think do your research for sure. Don't just, because not everyone will give you a great experience. I can promise you that. I have seen that day in and day out. I would probably say a fourth, maybe half. I don't know. It's between a fourth and a half of clients that come into my program every single week have had some bad experience prior to my program. Some bad experience when it comes to coaching or programs that they did or whatever. We all have had that. I've had so many horrific, situations with doctors, but I saw incredible, I had the most life-changing experience with my last doctor that I was with. She was a functional medicine doctor, but you see what I'm saying? It wasn't I think that we all have, unfortunately, our issues and our problems with some people, but I just had to say this. I just think that because of my acne journey and how life-changing it has truly been for me, being able to have this coach and being able to work with an expert in this field and how quickly I started seeing relief from something I did not think would ever clear. It was horrific. To it instantly, I felt like every single day it improved and improved and improved. And I look in my mirror every single day and I'm just like, I can't believe it. I see that all the time. You know what I'm saying? Just from a coach. I'm not trying to talk so much about my program here. I'm just saying in general, so many people being like, this is just what I needed. Instead of beating around the bush, instead of trying to figure it out on your own, going to the expert, because it worked out for me because I felt obsessed with health and fitness. I didn't need a coach because I was meant to be a coach. Does that make sense? This was my faith. This was my journey. This was where I was always meant to be. So the cards fell how they were supposed to fall. And that explains my obsession. And it explains my immediate desire to basically never watch TV, never listen to music, never do anything unless it has to do with education when it comes to nutrition and workouts and everything else in between. Because that was basically what my 2 years of my weight loss journey looked like. Believe it or not. Every single day, all day, when I had the chance, I always soaked up knowledge, and I was obsessed. I never had an obsession like that before in my life. And so, anywho, yeah, that's just how it went. So those were the biggest mistakes that I could think of. And maybe you see yourself in some of them currently. Maybe you're going to relate to them in a lot of ways already, and you are on the other side of doing something differently. But yeah, I want you to really honestly sit here and think about these. Think about, the biggest mistakes that you have had in your journeys. And whether this be the very first time you're navigating it or your past ones, I'm sure everyone's listening to this has had some form of past experience. I would assume, in trying to focus on their health or a weight loss journey in some capacity, right? But I really want you to think about, what did you do during those times that you feel like played a role in why it didn't work out? Have you ever asked yourself that before you started another journey? Because I never did. And I think if I would have grown in self-awareness on the things I probably shouldn't try to do again. You feel me? And learn from them. And I just somehow collectively did that when I started my 120-pound weight loss journey without mentally doing it. I guess I just put a whole, I'm not doing what I had always done. I'm doing this completely differently. And I think that wiped out everything I've ever done before, because nothing I did in my 120-pound weight loss journey was even remotely similar to anything I've done in my past. So anywho, I hope you guys found this very, very helpful. I have 3 other incredible topics I will do a poll on next week for y'all to decide on what y'all want to do for the next one. I really think the confident self-love one will be so powerful. I think that we need to probably inch into more of a mindset one maybe and talk about this, because what I share with my clients when it comes to this topic, I feel like it's life-changing. I genuinely feel like you just don't look at self-love the same. So I would encourage that be probably the one. But y'all make sure on Monday, y'all keep a lookout, or Sunday night, keep a lookout for that next poll. But anywho, you guys, I love y'all so much. Thank y'all for listening to me chit chat. My husband has been outside mowing and doing stuff outside so I can film this podcast. So I'm about to go tell him, hey, you can come in now, because he probably hates me. So peace and love. Love y'all.